Hello, hello, mic check, mic check. Hello, hello, mic check, mic check.
It's difficult for us to control our feelings of disgust.
It's difficult for us to control our feeling for disgust.
All students are encouraged to vote in the forthcoming elections.
All students are encouraged to vote in the forthcoming elections.
Knife and forks should be placed next to the spoon on the edge of the table.
Knife and forks should be placed next to the edge in the table.
The student welfare officer can help with questions about exam techniques.
The student welfare officer can help with the student question exam office.
The medical center is located near the supermarket on North Street.
The medical center is located near the supermarket in North Street.
Much of his research objectives are driven by his natural curiosity and instincts.
Much of his resources is driven by natural curiosity and instinct. Thank you.
Rules about breaks and lunchtime vary from one company to another.
Rules about break time varying from one company to another.
All filed assignments should have a full list of bibliography.
All file assignments should have a full list of bibliography.
Students are afraid of writing an essay, because they have learned nothing about it.
Students are afraid of writing essay because they have learned nothing about it.
.5% California residents speak a language other than English at home.
39.5% of California residents speak other language than English at home.
Remember to sign the attendance register before leaving the lecture hall.
Remember to sign the register before leaving the lecture hall.
Here are three important factors in creativity: people, process, and product. The most important one is the process. First, you have to create the right person through education with a creative mind. Second, you have to create the right process to have people engaged in the innovation process. Third, you need to find the right problem to work on. Human beings can survive and prosper largely depending on the creativity they have. If you identify and assess the creativity of a finished product, it is taken as a proxy for the creativity of the person who produced such a product. Therefore, a creative product should be surprising, original, beautiful, and useful. People should have factors necessary for genius, ability, and the right mindset. You should improve to imitate and change insight. Look from new perspectives. Innovately create something with imagination to expand the conceptual spaces.
People was the main topic of the lecture and several points were mentioned. Firstly, he told about process, product and education. Secondly, he told about mind, innovation and problem. Furthermore, he mentioned about human, creativity, person and produce. Moreover, he told about original, beautiful, useful and ability. At last, he mentioned about mindset and imagination. To conclude, the lecture was very informative.
What do we call a book that contains lists of words with their meanings?
Sentence, dictionary, dictionary, dictionary.
Which one word is used for a brother or sister?
Siblings.
What special document do most people need to carry when they travel between countries?
Passport, passport.
How many days are in a leap year?
365 days. 365. 366.
Who is a person that makes bread, cakes and pastries?
Bakery. Chef.
What is the name of the instrument used to measure variations in temperature?
Thermometer. Thermometer.
Now, we spend a lot of time thinking about how climate will affect crops. But crops affect climate themselves, and they do this in two ways. First of all, about 1/4 of the land's surface is used for growing crops. Another 10–15% are used for pasture. So a substantial amount of the land's surface is used in crop and agricultural production. And how we use that land affects our climate. If we were, for example, to deforest a substantial area and replace it with an annual crop such as soybean, then we would alter the characteristics of the land surface, alter the way that water and heat flows from the land surface to the atmosphere and back, and ultimately change the regional climate if there's a large enough change to the land surface. So this is an absolutely fascinating topic, and one that's really quite difficult to understand because of the complexity. It's difficult because it needs us as crop scientists to work even more closely with our climate scientist colleagues. And it's difficult because we have to join our models together.
Today we're going to talk some more about architecture and what makes for a good design. There are, of course, a whole range of qualities that most architects would like their buildings to possess. One of these is the durability of the building. Architects must consider how well the building will stand up to the ravages of climate and time. Will it remain robust and in good condition? Clearly, requirements will vary according to the surroundings of the building in question. A design that is suitable for Dubai will have different needs from one for Moscow. Then, of course, it's essential to consider the appearance of the building. Regardless of what its purpose may be, will people find pleasure in looking at it? An original and still respected writer on architecture, the Roman Vitruvius, wrote in the 1st century that a building should delight people and should raise their spirits. Again, tastes may vary from one society to the next, but the principle remains the same.
For the first time, Japanese researchers have conducted a real-life experiment that shows how some traffic jams appear for no apparent reason. They placed the 22 vehicles on a single track, and asked the drivers to cruise around at a constant speed of 30 km an hour. At first, traffic moves smoothly, but soon, the distance between cars started to vary and vehicles clumped together at one point on the track, but the jams spread backward around the track, like a shockwave at a rate of about 20 km an hour. Real-life jams move backward at about the same speed.
Well, in 2004 we integrated ticketing in southeast Queensland, so we introduced a paper ticket that allowed you to travel across all the 3 modes in southeast Queensland, so bus, train and ferry. And the second stage of integrated ticketing is the introduction of a smart card. And the smart card will enable people to store value, so to put value on the card and then to use the card for travelling around the system.
For all his fame and celebration, William Shakespeare remains a mysterious figure with regards to personal history. There are just 2 primary sources for information on the bard: his works and various legal and church documents that have survived from Elizabethan times. Naturally, there are many gaps in this body of information, which tells us little about Shakespeare the man. It seems to me that architecture is very much something that causes us both pleasure and trouble. I live in the part of Western London where I think many of the streets where I live, are really, really ugly. And this distresses me every time I walk to a supermarket or walk to a tube. I think, why did they build that? And terribly without architecture. It lasts so long, and if you write a bad book or do a bad play, I will be shocked when it is showed and no one would suffer. A bad building has a serious impact could be hundreds of years on the people around it. And suppose the book arose a little bit from frustration, almost anger, and there is so much bad architecture around. And then I realized if you talk about architecture, you will say why buildings are not more beautiful. And you will say I can use such a word as beauty. That's a really arrogant word. And no one knows what beautiful is. It's all in the eye of the beholder. I couldn't help but think that, actually. Well, that we all attempt to agree that Rome is nicer than Milky King's, and San Francisco has the edge of Frankfurt, so we can make that sort of generalization. Surely there are some things we can say about why a building works or why it doesn't. So the books really attempt to suggest why architecture works when it does, and what might be going to be wrong when it doesn't work.
Now let's talk video. Video and audio as a tool for mobile. And here's the thing. It also works beautifully for social media and web too. You kill 3 birds with 1 stone. Do you know why TV does so well and films do so well? It's a really easy answer. We humans react best to seeing pictures of other humans talking back to us and playing all these stories and whatnot. Yet you'll find that most of the web is text. Yet when I have a 4-minute video, it does better, or when I have a slideshow that has an audio track to it, they do so much better than all my other content because we need that. This is a flat screen. We need to liven it up somehow. This is a small screen. It's not easy to read lengthy text, but if I create a lengthy article and then I create a 3-minute video or a set of 3-minute videos about it, then I'm now just repurposed and I have something to use. I have differentiated from all my competitors, and I use a fancy QR code to link to these. Oh my God, we're innovating at the speed of, okay.
Management requires a great deal of energy and effort, more than most people care to make. One factor that affects managers and inhibits their capacity to provide leadership is stress. Stress has lots of causes: work overload, criticism from workers, and can have negative health effects, including loss of sleep. It's a fact. Managers have to deal with stress. Some handle it by making time to be by themselves. Most have some favorite place or pastime, a beach to walk on, maybe a stream to fish in, or a game to play with the kids. It's important to have some form of rest and relaxation. Creating art, working with your hands, gardening, playing sports, the list goes on. Rest doesn't always mean inactivity. For some people, exercise
In some ways, mental development is related to social development in school-aged children. Between the ages of 6 and 12, children move from being able to think only on a concrete level, that is, about real objects they can touch, to being capable of abstract thought. In their social development, children gradually acquire interpersonal reasoning skills. They learn to understand the feelings of other people, and also learn that a person's actions or words don't always reflect their
Well, there's a positive obligation on the bank to ensure that the people who are signing a loan guarantee know what they're doing. Loan guarantees are kind of unique in that someone is giving security or a guarantee and placing themselves at risk for someone else, and they receive nothing material in return. So you've got to ask yourself, why is this person doing this? Do they know what they're doing? They're risking a lot and not really getting anything back for it. So the imperative is that the bank must ensure that these people know what they're doing and that they fully understand the implications of what they're doing, and they know that their properties may be sold if another person doesn't meet their obligations.
For some people, this proposition may seem far-fetched, but ending poverty is both morally necessary and actually feasible. All of us must play a role in making it happen. All human beings want and have a right to live in dignity, to determine our own destinies, and to be respected by other people. Despite the universality of these rights, our capacities to fulfill them vary enormously. And no dividing line is more profound in influencing the quality of our lives than the gulf between poverty and prosperity.
In the celebrity vaccine wars, I'm siding with actress Amanda Peet. And comedian Bill Maher, well, I like your show, but when it comes to vaccines, you don't know a punchline from a clothesline. Maher recently tweeted to his Twitter followers, quote, "If you get a swine flu shot, you're an idiot." On his HBO program, Real Time, last week, Maher went head-to-head with former Senator Dr. Bill Frist, who patiently explained why vaccines were, in fact, good. But Maher wasn't buying it. He advocates a healthy lifestyle over vaccines. But polio and smallpox outmatched many robust immune systems. Actress Amanda Peet, meanwhile, has used her celebrity to encourage vaccinations, specifically in response to the alleged vaccine autism connection, for which there's no scientific evidence, but which has some parents afraid of childhood vaccinations. In a letter to a parenting magazine, Peet wrote, quote, "It's irresponsible to suggest that virtually the entire medical community and the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics are behind a massive cover-up about vaccine safety," end quote. See you in line for the flu shot.
The results of the study underscore the discoveries from early detection.
A very basic feature of computing is counting and calculating. All lectures and learning materials can be found on the Internet. A wide range of aspects are covered in this subject.